Welcome everyone to the Side Draft Podcast, and welcome to another Cup Series race review. We had the Daytona night race, the Coke Zero Sugar 400. It was supposed to be a night race, turned into a day race due to the rain, and then we had more rain. So a lot of rain that weekend. We had rain in the Xfinity Series. We had rain Saturday night, and we had rain, of course, during the race on Sunday. So was it a fun weekend for NASCAR fans? A lot of delays.
You gotta love the weather.
A lot of waiting. I guess Daytona was wanting to make a statement for itself why it should be moved back,
possibly,
instead of the July 4th weekend as the tradition goes. But it's gonna be interesting to see how it'll play out next year.
Yes, because it's gonna be later in the year, and we'll see if it'll rain that weekend.
Which it is Florida, it is Daytona, so it's probably going to rain
possibly
every day of the year. So, it was a weird weekend.
Yeah, very much so.
So before we get into the wacky stuff that happens in this race, let's go back. I guess you could say earlier in the weekend when they canceled qualifying, and then that set them up for by points. So Joe Logano got himself a pole. I believe it's his first pole at a restrictor plate super speedway races. Doesn't necessarily count, but
Well, he just on the front row, but the action started on Saturday.
Yeah.
During practice and stuff. So you can tell that these it's that time of year, and everybody's getting on the edge, and the pressure's getting to you, and temperatures start flaring, and you see that with Brad Keselowski. He just got tired of these big blocks. I mean, and the bad blocks really is what I believe what he's talking about. Blocking at some point it's okay, but if you put a bad block on somebody, you put everybody else in a bad situation. So.
Yeah, that's kind of the name of the game now is, who can perform bad blocks but still, keep their car straight and win the race. It seems like it's, the common theme the past few years.
Yeah, because it's tough to pass with these new cars now, and so everybody tries to block just to keep everybody behind them, and it's pretty tough, and you just lose your temper sometimes.
Yeah, so eventually when they got going, we had Joe Logano, the rest of the Ford camp. They was really working well together. We had that manufacturer war that we always do at super speedway races. I don't necessarily agree with that. I'd kind of rather them, just go for it. But
just go out there and work together with anybody who can draft with you and get a good run, and because you get these big Ford trains or big Chevrolet trains.
Then you got the Toyota caboose out there because they only got 6 cars. So
don't forget about us.
Yeah. Yeah. So not a whole lot of different manufacturers out there. We just had top 10 of Fords, and then you had Chevrolets right behind them. Toyotas were sprinkled in there. They wasn't really working together as well.
Yeah, they just wanted to join the Ford camp or the Chevrolet camp, and just however they get the better run, the better themselves. But Daytona's, and way these spoilers are, there's a lot of violent air in the pack. That's pretty crazy. Because you see Paul Menard, a lot of people the air going across his hood just kind of blew his hood flap away. So,
yeah, I'm not sure if they had to call him in to get that fixed.
I believe he just ran that way.
I don't know how that affected the car. Probably made it a little bit tighter, maybe, but hopefully he was finding a loose condition before then.
Yeah, maybe. And you see Denny Hamlin during practice, like his whole hood was just vibrating and flapping in the wind. And during the race, Chris Buescher, his the wrap on the car is coming off. I mean, that's unheard of.
Yeah, about looked like a skirt on the
Yeah.
car, not a side skirt, but like a clothing skirt. So
Yeah, it'd be a big distraction for the ones behind them and stuff. And it's like you going down the interstate and you see one of these big trucks and the tarp over top of it and just flapping in the wind. It's pretty much what Chris Buescher was. I don't know if it helped his car or made it worse.
yeah, that's one of those things we don't really see that happening, so we don't have the knowledge of past times. But yeah, I don't know if something just went wrong with the wrap on there or something, because it was just him. It wasn't like everyone's wrap was doing that. So I'm not too
So
sure.
I guess they didn't get it all squeezed down real good and tight, and I don't know.
Maybe he just got bumped the wrong way and it came loose or something. But just a weird race all around.
Yeah, it's weird.
So stage one, we had the Ford camp leading, Kevin Harvick leading on the last lap, and then
It's probably the most calmest stage all weekend.
yeah, calmest laps of the weekend, even in practice with the wreck with Keselowski and Byron. So it looked like Harvick was going to get the stage win, but Joe Logano, I believe he just pulled back a little bit, changed lanes. Very clean move, very awesome move. With his history at restrictor plate / super speedway races, that's a better move.
Yeah, like I said, he's got the best spotter up there for the super speedways, and that's TJ Majors. He's worked with Dale Jr. all these years, and he really knows when the runs are coming, and he's got to go.
Stage two, I believe that's when the Chevrolet started to show a little bit of strength. The Fords got mired back during pit stops and had Austin Dillon up there leading some laps. Stenhouse ended up getting the lead. He had Kurt Busch on the inside. Stenhouse, I believe it was a little bit of a late block.
Yeah, like a late block. Yeah.
But he would have been clear, but he got too tight or too loose, something like that. Kurt Busch got a run, and then around goes Stenhouse.
Yeah, I believe the yellow line really holds everybody because I don't want to pass him, but I got a run going, and I can make a move, but he's blocked me, and I just spin you. So.
And another thing, I think
I'm not lifting.
Yeah, I think the yellow line rule also puts in a factor there, because you don't want to go all the way down to the yellow line, so you rather just wreck the guy.
Yeah.
So if there wasn't a yellow line rule, we wouldn't have too many of those types of crashes.
Maybe not. I don't know. It's just hard to really tell.
But then you'd have dive bombs, and then you'd have a whole lot more crashes. So that's one of those things. You either get either or, but it's just one of those super speedway traits. Luckily, Stenhouse was able to get back going, and no damage whatsoever.
Yeah, I believe they mentioned all the teams that there was lightning in the area, and rain was probably coming, and the intensity just moved up a whole new level in stage two. There's a lot more aggressive moves, and I don't know if it's more comfortable with the cars, and I just ain't sure what it was, but that Chevrolet train, they decided it was their turn, and they thought they'd take off, and that's what it goes.
Then we had a big wreck with Keselowski and the 4 car. Looked like Kevin just got a little bit of a run. Brad was going a little bit maybe too slow, got like disrupted air somewhere, and just too much of a run, and then in the wall you go.
Yeah, I believe it was Martin Truex Jr. beside him with the side draft. It kind of slowed Brad's car down, and with Joey and Harvick come behind him, they just had a good hit of steam coming, and when it bumped him, it just upset his car, and he just lost it.
Yeah, and Kevin couldn't really lift, because if he lifted, Joey would have just plowed through him, and it would have been him slamming in the wall. And it's kind of ironic because Kevin didn't lift for Keselowski, and Keselowski said that he wasn't lifting for anyone else, even though it was not intentional.
Yeah, it wasn't a block, and it wasn't intentional to turn him or anything. It's just a racing deal, because the cars in the back gives a better run, and just bump a car and it just kind of upset the car because it seemed like the cars was kind of really loose and the handle was a big deal.
Yeah, I think with the increased spoiler, with all the extensions and all that, so I think with that it kind of slows the car down even more, and then those types of things happen quite frequently. So yeah, it's unfortunate we have a lot of good cars out early, but it would be Austin Dillon getting the stage win.
Yeah, that was good for that team again. So he won Daytona a while back, and he's continued to lead, and here he gets more stage points.
And in stage 3, this is where everything just intensifies. We got rain coming, lightning in the area. Get to the lead as fast as possible. Don't crash and win the race. And
let's see how many people can get to the front in 40 cars. Fighting for one spot. So
yeah, and the playoffs really, makes this really extreme because if you get the win, you're in the playoffs.
Yeah.
No more struggling throughout the rest of the regular season. So that takes a lot of weight off your shoulders if you can get that win. If you're, outside of the cutoff.
Yeah. And the intensity moved up a little bit, and some of the blocking and moves they was making was really aggressive. That one time at Chase, he was leading, and thought Blaney was going to go with him, and Blaney said, "Well, the high side's running is going faster, so he just jumped right out there." So,
and then it took a little while to get a big crash coming, but we finally had it. Looked like Clint Boyer just had a great run, and I don't know if he just made Austin Dillon a little loose, made Austin Dillon just come down on him, or if Austin tried to do a block and that crashed the field. But either way, it took out a whole bunch of cars, and now they're all on their way to Dale Jr.'s graveyard. So
it took out a lot of the big competitors and knocked a lot of them out.
Yeah, if you're running up in the middle of the pack, you're done. There's no way, unless you can make your car go invincible for this couple seconds there. It took a long time for that wreck to finish out.
Yeah, they always say the safest place to be is in the front, but when the wreck happens in the front, it just pretty much take out the whole field. So I believe Clint had a really good run. He had a big momentum coming on the 3, and he just made a move, and the 3 just moved. I don't know if he just got loose or just moved too late. And I know Clint didn't want to go below the yellow line, so where else could he going to go? And turns the 3 around.
Yeah, when a wreck happens in the corner, that's when everyone gets out of the race. And then we had some, names we don't really hear being up in the top 10. And one of those being Justin Haley, who managed to get the lead because Kurt Busch pitted. A little bit of communication issue with NASCAR, maybe.
Yeah, I believe NASCAR says it's going to have one to go, so they're going to go back to green. But it's a 2.5 mile track, so anything can happen in a 2.5 mile, and it did. Lightning happened, and for the safety of the fans, the crews, and everybody else, they got to red flag it. So since they had the one to go, and Kurt Busch decides to pit, and that puts Justin Haley in the lead. Pit strategy, like always, but he just come out the winner that way.
Yeah, it took a lot of waiting. It took a long time. That's normally how rain delays are. They're really nerve-wracking sometimes when the driver that you want to win is up front. It was really awesome to see Justin Haley and Inspire Motorsports win their first race, and just imagine how nervous that would be.
Especially with the lightning clock, you got to have 30 minutes after a lightning strike just to make sure there's no more lightning in the area. So you got to wait 30 minutes, in between there. So there's no rain. There's really nothing going on, so you kind of just playing a waiting game, and it seemed like it almost get to 30 minutes, and then it lightened again. So I think they did what 3 times.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's like a long period of time, and everybody's like, we're going back racing or not going back racing, and Justin Hayes like, am I the winner yet? Or so it got pretty intense, and I was hoping to see rain. I was like, man, just pour down rain now. I like to see Justin Haley get the win. He's a great driver. He drives really good in Xfinity. Got a cup ride, and I just was hoping he'd get that one win back from Daytona.
Yeah, and he only led one lap in his entire career in the Cup Series. First year ever in the Cup Series, by the way, and first lap is a race win, so that's pretty crazy.
Yeah, you look back, all kinds of crazy things happen in the history of NASCAR. Rain delays, even like Chris Buescher at Pocono. The fog rolls in, and he's leading at that time, and then he wins. I mean, it's a win. It don't matter how we get it. Sometimes it's still a win, and I believe that team deserves it. I don't matter what anybody says. Justin Haley and Inspire Motorsports, they deserve it.
And no matter what anyone says, they are a winner in the NASCAR Cup Series. Justin Haley gets his wins in these bizarre and crazy ways.
Yeah.
Looking forward to see how he gets that done in Xfinity. Because in the trucks, you had the KBM trucks crash out at Canadian Tire. Justin Haley rises from the smoke and wins. Then you had Todd Gilliland, running out of fuel, and then Justin Haley wins. And now you had Kyle Busch's brother, Kurt Busch, get, I don't want to say screwed by NASCAR, but, screwed by the weather.
Yeah, the pit strategy didn't work out, and I don't know.
And then something about the, Busch's teams, maybe.
Possibly. Because I know last year in the Xfinity race, Justin Haley was filling in for GMS, and man, I just loved that move he made on the last turn. Passed 3 cars, and he went around them, but he went a little bit too low. We got that yellow line roll, and they took the win away. And I was like, man, I've been waiting a whole year him see him get his redemption, and he took one back from NASCAR. So and
now they're even.
In the Cup Series, so now they're even, and so yeah, he's a great driver. He's going to do some great things, and he's really turning around that program over at Collier Racing and on Xfinity, and just congratulations to all of him.
Yeah, and it creates this awesome headline because no one gets locked in the playoffs. They hyped up, someone's going to get locked in. Someone's going to get locked in. And by him winning, nobody does. And it basically makes that whole hype just turn to a different kind of hype. So now you got a new winner, but there's no playoff berth to go with it. So
it really didn't change the points, anyway. I believe Clint Boyer gained some. But really didn't change the points any. I know Twitter just went crazy, and some people didn't like the way he won it, but some people did. So I don't care. He's still a winner, no matter what anybody says.
Yeah, and it's just really bizarre. I've been waiting for a long time for these races to start getting, really intense like it usually does at this time of year. I did not expect it to be this way.
Yeah.
It has nothing to do with the playoffs, which is the crazy thing. So, just a really cool moment in NASCAR's.
Yeah, it is. It's really, everybody wants to talk about the Cinderella story, but it's a great story. I mean, a team comes in this year. Maybe the cars ain't very competitive, but their strategy worked out. I mean, you got to do what you got to do, and I don't know. It's just really, really crazy.
Yeah, so I do believe it was some great racing all day long. I believe if it wasn't for the rain, we could have seen more crashes, more intensity. But it was a long weekend, but it was worth the wait to see the crazy, winner, you could say.
Yeah, but it was a lot of fun. It was really tough waiting around and see if they're going to race or if it was going to finish that way. But man, I think the problem was that Twitter's mad because and the other racers was mad because here comes a team and they outsmarted the whole team. They outsmarted everybody in NASCAR. They outsmarted everybody. Just got there at the right time.
And it paid off. So that's strategy. It's a strategy that don't normally work. But in this rare case, once in a blue moon case, it worked, and I think it's going to really help Justin in the Xfinity Series. It's going to boost a lot of confidence because now he goes in. He'll go into Kentucky in the Xfinity race and going, I'm a Cup winner.
I'm a Cup winner.
There's a lot of Xfinity guys who we thought would be they're going to get their Cup win first. Now we're looking at Justin Haley like he's actually done it. So that's really crazy. It's going to be a storyline for next week even.
Yeah, I mean, he ran good in Xfinity race. He finished second to Ross Chastain, but I believe if Ross Chastain went in that race, he'd probably won that one. But I mean, he's a great driver. He's got more top fives than any time in college history. So
yeah, so congratulations to Justin Haley and Spire Motorsports for your very first Cup win. It was a really awesome race to stay tuned in, and it was a really interesting storyline, and can't wait for the rest of the season.
Yeah, I was really glad to see a fraternal order of Eagles in the victory lane. I love that paint scheme. It's one of my favorites of all time, and congratulations to all of them.
Before we go, we want to give a shout out to those who found the Dale Jr. in the thumbnail for our Xfinity race review in Daytona. So thank you to Skytrace29 and Sherry Sykes. Thank you for playing along and finding Dale Jr.
Thanks for looking for him.
And things are going to be a little bit different for our race reviews this week. I think our fast picks will have to go on Thursday now since the truck race is Thursday night.
Yeah.
So we're going to have a little bit of an early weekend.
Possibly.
So we'll see you then, and hopefully see you for our race reviews in Kentucky. And hopefully they'll be just as crazy as this week.